What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. Number 4, the Golden State Warriors. They've had a 2-2 week. They lost to the Clippers in a game that looks just like the last time the Warriors played the Clippers. Like, all of the Warriors guards, other than Steph, struggled and their offense sputtered and ended up being a loss. They got back on track with 2 wins against Atlanta and New Orleans. Andrew Wiggins was awesome in those 2 games. He had 57 points in the 2 games. We're going to talk about Andrew here in just a second. But then they're up 10 going into the fourth quarter in San Antonio, and Victor Wembanyama happened. Just completely dominated the game on both ends. He had multiple out-of-area blocks where he seemed like somebody looked like they were open, and he just, Moses Moody had one where it looked like he got an offensive rebound put back, and he just turned over his left shoulder to shoot a hook, and Victor was like behind the backboard, and it looked like he was out of balance, and he just kind of like came up and swallowed the shot up and threw it out to Steph Castle. He had another one where Lindy Waters was driving, and it looked like Victor was on the weak side, and it looked like he was out of the play. He just came flying in and swatted Lindy Waters off the glass. Lindy missed 2 easy kick-out reads in crunch time. That was one thing that stood out to me, where I was like, when the defense is really overplaying those drives, that's where you got to take those kickouts when they're available. There was a wide open Andrew Wiggins on one of them that he overlooked. There's a couple of bad decisions there down the stretch, but Victor was incredible on defense. And then on offense, he was driving to the rim and getting layups. He had a driving feed to Julian Champagnie cutting out of the right corner. That was just such an incredible feel and touch pass. Like, he threw it like way before it was even a time for him to jump. It just kind of like landed perfectly in the spot for Julian just to go up and dunk it easy. It was just such a pass that demonstrates Victor's feel for the game. And then he got a shot going, which was funny because to start the fourth quarter, he had like a couple really bad misses from 3. Like one where he damn near put a hole in the backboard. And I'm like, oh man, like Victor's really out of rhythm. And then he gets an easy little like 18-footer at the right elbow out of a ball screen with Chris Paul. Where he's wide open and it's a super easy up and down in rhythm. Knocks it down, and it was like the floodgates open. And then suddenly he was just hitting every 3 that he took and just completely dominated the game down the stretch. And then he also got a major contribution out of Stephon Castle, who was one of my favorite guys coming out of the draft, and he continues to just look amazing. He had a huge driving finish against Kevon Looney on a switch. I clipped this play and put it on my Twitter feed, where, again, he does a sweeping crossover, but it's not the dribble that impresses me. He takes a hard... There's 2 plays down the stretch of that game that I would look at if you're a Spurs fan. It's the left-to-right crossover on Kevon Looney, and then it's the play where he drove by Draymond Green at the top of the key and drew a foul. And both of them started out of a high hesitation in the left hand. And you could tell, like, they actually came out of order. Like, the Looney crossover was actually before the Draymond play, but it's interesting because they set each other up in their own way. So, like, and the Draymond play sits in that high hesitation and then just launches himself forward going left. And he comes to almost a complete stop in the hesitation, and then the first step is lightning quick. And Draymond has no choice but to just wrap him up and foul him, basically, right? And then on the Looney play, it's the exact same thing. He launches himself on a left drive out of the high hesitation, and then right when his left foot plants, he whips it across back to the right, and now he's going to the right, and he dusts Looney. And if you watch Looney does like a full 2-foot hop over to cut off that left-hand drive. And like, that's what makes, again, like it's the simple concept, right? It's most of the best scorers in the world don't have like 17 different moves that they use all the time. Like most of the best scorers in the world, it's like move, counter move. Like I have a right shoulder fade, left shoulder fade. Whichever one you overplay, I'm going the other way. And if you overplay the jumper, I'm stepping through, right? Or like in this case, like if Stephon Castle just gets a nasty high hesitation jump shot, and by the way, he hit a huge 3 at the top of the key down the stretch in this game. But if he can get in the high hesitation and he can shoot and he can throw a hard drive to the left and then he has a nasty crossover to the right, like that's literally all it takes. As long as all 3 are real threats, that's all it takes. You don't need anything more than that. Everything else is just fluff, right? And I think he also did an incredible job on Steph Curry all night long. That was the weird thing about the Spurs game. Like Steph just couldn't make a shot all night long. But Stephon Castle just really, really, really impressive start to this season for a rookie. And quick note on the Spurs before we move on. Back to the Warriors, I mean. Stephon Castle's rise so quickly in the early phase of his career just gives the Spurs such an interesting core, which is not how I felt coming into the season. At first, I'm like, okay, you got Victor, you have Devin Vassell, not really sure what he's going to be, right? And then Jeremy Sohan, right? Who like is this really clunky fit because like really inconsistent shooter and decision maker, right? But he's like the very good defensive player and has like a knack for scoring the ball, even at least he's shown it this year, even though like he can be limited in some other offensive ways. So like it's kind of like a really weird forward and then like a guard that we just don't know what he is. But like Stephon Castle is so obviously very good. Like I can already tell what Steph Castle is going to be. He's going to be a very good guard defender that can shoot and score off the bounce. Like that's like automatic, great foundational guard. Like I think Spurs fans should be like incredibly excited about Stephon Castle because now I look at it as like Victor and Steph, and then we'll see what happens with Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan. But because they're kind of like tiered down, because I know what Stephon Castle's going to be, and I know how well that works in the modern NBA, like it just makes me feel infinitely more confident about this group moving forward. And I mean, like the arena was on fire in that fourth quarter when Steph Castle and Victor Wembanyama took that game over. It was an unreal energy, and you can really feel the momentum gaining with this the San Antonio Spurs. Back to the Warriors, though. You blew a game on the road. It happens. Steph had a really bad game. You didn't get much from anybody not named Wiggins, which has become a recurring theme. So I want to talk about Wiggins for a second. This is where we're going to go positive for the Warriors. That was Wiggins' fourth straight 20-point game. He never did it more than 2 times in a row last year. In fact, the last time Andrew Wiggins played in 4 consecutive games and scored at least 20 points in all of them was May of 2021 in the COVID season, towards the tail end of the regular season. And again, that was a year when there was like a lot of roster issues with the Warriors and he had to be more aggressive, right? He's over 60% true shooting for the first time ever. He's having the best 3-point shooting season of his career. He's having the best free throw shooting season of his career. His touch is just at a better spot than it's ever been, all while providing excellent defense on the perimeter. I think he's outplaying many of his peers at his position around the league. And again, like I talked about this a little bit in the mailbag on Friday, when I talk about potential trades for the Warriors, it's not about now. This is not a Warriors team that's looking to make a trade right now. I think they'd be stupid to. This is a team that should not make a single trade until maybe early February, maybe not at all. But when they get to February, you make that call. But if Andrew Wiggins is going to play like one of the better forwards in the league, then you just got the guy that you would hunt in the trade market anyway, right? This is what I said they needed. They needed a reliable 20-plus point per game, efficient scorer at the forward position. If Andrew Wiggins becomes that or regains that footing in this league, it's not just about him being untradeable. It's just there's no reason to make a trade anymore because Andrew Wiggins has become the guy that you needed in that support role. I mean, here's the thing. You lose in that game because Steph is bad. And like for the vast majority, the only team in the league that can like really afford consistently for their best player to have a bad game is the Boston Celtics because they have so much talent. But like most of the teams in the league are going to struggle if their best player struggles. And that's all that happened in San Antonio last night. But like really, really impressive stretch of basketball from Andrew Wiggins. The schedule for the Warriors is getting a little intense, though. I wanted to go over this because I just think this is fascinating. This is one of the toughest stretches of schedule, extended stretches of schedule that I've seen for an NBA team, emphasized by a couple of tough Eastern Conference opponents and just an incredibly stacked West. But they have an easy one against Brooklyn at home is their next game. But after that, home for OKC, at Phoenix, who will have KD and Bradley Beal back, at Denver. Houston, who is both really good and a team that matches up physically with Golden State well. Minnesota, again. Then Memphis, then Minnesota again. In Memphis, that's a couple weeks from now, so they could be healthier and have more guys in the lineup, right? Then Indiana, then the Lakers, then the Clippers, then the Suns again, then the Cavs, then the Sixers, and that's like roughly a month from now, so they could be healthier. Then the Grizzlies, then the Kings and the Heat. So like the Warriors are heading into basically a month plus of like playing a good team every single night. And so we're going to learn a lot about the Warriors over this stretch and just how capable this roster is of shouldering the load that they're going to need to shoulder in order to get what they want to get done this year.